Welcome back to the channel. It's your host Sargento bringing you another story from my life. This story happened to me last year while my brother and I were playing basketball. Now, give you a little background on the setting. We go to this park in this place called Prospect Park, and we always stay there late during the summer. We always go around like 5, 4 o'clock, and we stay there till 8 or 9. So, this one day in particular was different. It was just me and him. It was a hot day, so nobody decided to come to the park. And we did our usual thing. We played around the world. We talked about life. We talked about just everything going on at that time, and we enjoyed it, you know. But during the later hours, we just heard rustling and trees breaking in the woods, and usually we're like, it's nothing, it's just probably a deer or some squirrels getting freaky. But it was just different, because when the woods started to get dark, the whole vibe was off. We felt as if we were being watched, and that there was just evil around us. So around 7 o'clock, an hour and a half before we leave, we see these like cars just pull up to the courts, and then they like stay there for a little bit and park, and then they leave. So we're like, don't worry about it. But then they zoomed past the courts and they went somewhere else. We couldn't see what inside their cars because their windows were tinted like limousines, but we didn't think about it because everybody, like a lot of people, go up there to get freaky, to do drugs, to drink. So it was just normal. And then around like 7:30, we just started to hear just like people walking in the woods. That's the only way I could describe it, because it wasn't, deer don't make that much noise, especially in the woods. They're very quiet and they're light on their feet. And we just heard like walking around, and we're getting a little nervous because we're like, alright, like, why are people in the woods? Now, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the court is surrounded by a big, tall metal fence. And surrounding the courts is just woods, and they go for a long time, and the woods are very dense. So once it gets a little dark, you can't see in them. There's no light. So you're like, well, there's no paths back there, so there has to be people just doing something. And then around 8 o'clock, the sun starts to set, and we hear this chanting, and we hear this music. And it's not like Drake. It's this homemade music. It's like people like hitting on stuff, and we hear this like chanting, but we can't really make out what they're trying to say. So we're just like, alright, we gotta get our stuff and we gotta go. Like, we gotta get out of here. So quietly, my friend, he went back to the car. He brought some of our stuff in the car, and then we were like, if anything happens, we have everything ready to go. All we gotta do is hop in my car. So that's what we did. We waited. We were just playing basketball, and then this is at like 8:30. It was getting pretty dark, and all of a sudden, the chanting started to get loud, and I kind of smelled like something weird, like around, and I was like, nah, this is not like normal. This is something like, this is not normal. This is not like a campfire these people are doing. And then all of a sudden, like, we move to the other side of the court, and we hear like this like screaming coming towards the other side of the court. So we're gone. Like, once I heard the screaming and it was getting louder, we ran to my car, which was in the parking lot. It was a good run. So we're running, and once we get to our car, I put the key in the ignition. I'm flooring it, like some Fast and the Furious nonsense of just doing like a donut in reverse and then just zoom. But right as we passed the courts, I like turned my car so that we could try to see into the woods with my high beams on, and we didn't see anything, but the windows were still open. They were just, like, we still heard the chanting and like the screaming, and the presence of just evil was there. And then we were driving out of the park because the court is at the top of the hill, this top of this mountain, and to get to the entrance you have to go through this like winding road that's just dense forest. There's a big quarry on the one side. So that's what, and once we got out of there, took him home, and then the next day I work out with my friend who's a pastor, and I'm a Christian myself, and we were talking just about everything, and we were like, honestly, like, it felt like really off. It felt very like demonic. And he was talking about, he told us that like there's Satan worshippers in the area, and that they do a lot of bad stuff in the area. So me and my friend, being the brainiacs that we are, we're like, oh, let's go up after the workout and see for ourselves like what they were doing. So we went back to the courts. We walked around in the woods, and I stumbled upon this little fire, which it was the remains of a fire. There were some coals that were covered over something, and then it was covered over a bunch of like leaves, but everything was fresh, and there were bones of some animal in this little fire. So once we saw that, and we saw like there was like drugs and other stuff there, we left, and we never talked about it again. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, It's Sarge. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.